Thank you for being here. Assalamu alaikum. Hello, everybody. Bonjour tout le monde. My name is Stephen Brown. I'm the CEO of the National Council of Canadian Muslims, and I'd like to thank everybody for being here today. I would also like to start by thanking Senator Harder for championing this bill, S218, to help set an important precedent for the integrity of Canadian democracy. Because Canadian democracy is truly something amazing. It defines so much of who we are. Canada is a place where journalists have the right, even the expectation, to hold the feet of our politicians to the fire. It's a place where workers can get together and negotiate better wages. It's a place where anybody can choose to pray to their God however they see fit. We live in a country where the government can't just come into your house or your business whenever they want and confiscate your property. In Canada, the police do not disappear people off the street. We have habeas corpus. In Canada, the government doesn't subject people to cruel and unusual punishment. That's the Canada we know and love. That's the Canada we grew up in, and that is the Canada we were promised. But what if that were to change? What if that's already changing? What if we lived in a country where politicians had the power to pass laws making it illegal for journalists to criticize them, or could unilaterally impose working conditions on their employees? Imagine living in a country where elected officials could pass laws allowing the government to confiscate your property, search your house without a warrant, arrest and detain you without charging you, and apply punishments that our courts have deemed to be cruel. Imagine living in a country where elected officials could even take away your right to pray or to practice your religion simply for their own political gain. For most of us, that Canada would be unrecognizable. But those are exactly the kinds of aberrations that could happen, and in some cases are already happening right now in our country, because some elected officials want to be able to use a notwithstanding clause to take away anybody's rights for any reason without any oversight or having to provide any justification whatsoever. This is not a hypothetical situation. In my home province of Quebec, the government has openly started using the notwithstanding clause to take away the rights of religious minorities when it is politically expedient. It started with Bill 21, then a second bill. Now a third is promised, banning people from even praying outside. Other Canadians in other parts of the country are facing similar challenges to their rights. All because of a new trend of an unfettered, unrestrained use of the notwithstanding clause. This is not what our charter was intended for. The notwithstanding clause was always supposed to be used as a measure of last resort to protect the freedoms of Canadians, not to bypass them. And that is why Senator Harder's bill is so important right now, at this particular point in time. Because this bill brings this discussion from out behind the scenes into the light of day and forces us as Canadians to confront these very real dangers that are currently threatening our freedoms and our democracy. Now is a time for elected officials on all sides to come together to affirm the guardrails protecting Canadian democracy and to ensure the emergency powers of the Charter are not being abused. Canadians expect our Charter to protect our rights, not take them away. That is how it has been. And now we have work to do to make sure that this is how it will continue to be. Merci beaucoup. Thank you very much.
Bonjour. Hello. My name is Fatemeh Anvari, and in late 2021, I lost my grade 3 teaching job in Chelsea, Quebec, because of Bill 21, a bill that bans people of faith from wearing religious symbols while working in several public service jobs, clearly infringing on our charter rights, but protected by the notwithstanding clause. I always refrain from saying I lost my job because of my hijab. My hijab was in no way interfering with my teaching responsibilities. I lost my job because of a law that decided my chosen identity was incompatible with my professional role as a teacher. Nearly 4 years later, I still think about what message that sent to my students. Because this was never just about me or my rights, it was also about what our young people are learning from this. Bill 21 teaches children that inclusion is conditional, that their rights are negotiable, and that contrary to what we teach them in the classrooms, their identity might one day be treated as a barrier, not as a strength. This also teaches them that our Constitution gives governments, from the perspectives of some until the Supreme Court decides, a loophole to override our fundamental freedoms by invoking the notwithstanding clause. That's why Senate Bill S-218 is so important. Although this bill would put guardrails on just the federal use of the clause, it would set a historic precedent that says governments in Canada should not have the unchecked power to infringe on the rights and freedoms of its people. It's also in line with a new bill proposed by Premier Wab Kinew on litigations for the notwithstanding clause. As long as our elected officials can use the notwithstanding clause with no accountability, there is no limit to how far its misuse can go. Thank you.
I want to thank everybody for being here today to support Bill S-218. This is a bill that was introduced this fall in the Senate and is being debated as we speak. The bill seeks to amend the Constitution of Canada in providing a manner and form by which the Parliament of Canada must deal with any notwithstanding clause bill in the Parliament of Canada, and it assures that there is no preemptive use of the notwithstanding clause. It assures that there must be a Supreme Court ruling or a reference on a bill from the Government of Canada. It must ensure that there is a statement by the Minister of Justice tabled in Parliament as to why rights are being abrogated and which ones in particular, and why Section 1 is not available. It ensures that there be a debate and a hearing, not the use of closure to advance the bill in the House of Commons. And most importantly, it requires that there be a supermajority in the House of Commons. This was recommended, by the way, by Premier Lougheed some years ago, and this bill reflects that measure. It is my hope that this bill, if passed, can provide a template for which other governments, other jurisdictions in Canada can measure the way in which they are handling the notwithstanding clause. While the federal government has never used the notwithstanding clause over the 40 years, we do now have a leader of the opposition who says he would, and this bill would ensure that Parliament would follow the manner and form of dealing with such a bill that seeks to balance better the constitutional rights of Canadians and the rights of Parliament to advance its legislation. Thank you.
Thank you. Merci. Nous n'avons pas de questions pour le moment. We don't have any question at the moment. Is there something you would like to add to your statement?
No, I have nothing to add. No.
Thank you. This concludes the press conference. Merci. Ça conclut cette conférence de presse.
Thank you. That's great.